Good morning. How are you today? Well, it's nice under the trees. It's a beautiful day out. And this is election day in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I encourage people to vote for, in the Democratic primary, for McAuliffe for governor and Herring for attorney general. They've served us well. They should continue to serve us. The lieutenant governor's race is going to be more spirited, and I leave that to the good intentions of voters everywhere. In the regular news, I don't know, I had some discomfort with what happened in Guatemala. I think there's something about how we got here ourselves, each of us. You know, at some point, however, my Irish forebears came to America. I'm not sure they were wanted, and I'm not sure what they had to go through to get here. And it was, I think, long after the potato famine, I don't know, in Ireland. But to tell people not to come almost sounds un-American. Does sound un-American when you think of what's inscribed on the Statue of Liberty, which you only visit when friends come to New York and want to see the sights. But you see it as a youngster up into adulthood as you travel around the area, and you've read and heard about it, and New York is a melting pot. So what do you do short of telling people not to come? I think you have to tell them something else. I think you have to tell them it's difficult. You have to tell them to be careful. Tell them I'm not encouraging you to go, but I understand why you might. Be realistic about it, because to many of the people in Guatemala who come to our border, they think of the United States as North Guatemala. And it also signals our policy as being inimical to refugees. And I don't know what we're going to say to Mexico to get to that point. Our solution so far has been to send funds that we hope are dedicated to the purposes that we insist upon, so that the need to leave Guatemala is lessened. And I suppose all we can do is diminish the numbers. We have to address this problem in a better way than kind of the police model, which seems to be how we get so many things screwed up. So I thought she gave a good speech, except for that one sentence. And that's unfortunate. I understand Biden has made a similar sentiment known before she made that speech. So she didn't make the policy. She's following the president's lead. I think it's a policy that needs more nuance than we've given so far. The next thing that bothers me is the Department of Justice is defending Trump still in a defamation lawsuit. What is wrong with that picture? He's a private citizen. Stop it. This is again Garland's Justice Department. Do we make the wrong pick with Garland? It's a fair question, because we expect a change in policy. We're not getting it. And maybe Biden can't interfere, but there should be some conversations about policy. And this is just not acceptable. We do too little about this. In the self-help category, we have a situation in which the Hill is in paralysis, as it's been. The argument continues about how already there's a supermajority just by the fact that small states get 2 representatives. And then the argument is, should we on top of that have this supermajority that came into place only when we had the Jim Crow laws to suppress and to punish those persons of color who think, despite the Constitution, they have a right to vote. Imagine that. So what should we be doing about this? Well, we should be working on the Hill. We should be making the point. We should be making the argument. I heard it made very strongly this morning by one member of the Senate who basically said, look, you already have such a majority when California is equal to, say, Arkansas in terms of representation in the Senate. Then on top of that, you put this supermajority in place. That's just wrong. That's just not acceptable. And so we have this challenge in terms of the intelligence of the position and the counterbalance, which is the policy that a legislature could pass if people would do the right thing. But we have to accept the fact, as a matter of politics and power and remedies, to see what we're going to do. And this is where self-help comes. We have the time, just like we were given notice that the Postal Service was delaying the mail. So we worked around that. State legislatures did, and the people did, and in the middle of a pandemic, which was why the mails were so important in the first place. So now we're put on notice that there are going to be complicated ways for people to vote in all these different jurisdictions. We're going to have two things at least. One, we're in the courtrooms challenging these rules. And we should look for test cases in places where it's going to succeed. The Texas might be the best place. It might be the best place because it may have the worst law. But the other thing we have to do is assume that doesn't work either. And we have to put together an operation so that people can vote consistent with these crazy laws. In other words, you make a rule, we'll find a way to comply with it. We will win the election despite what you're doing. That's the American way. That's what we have done at every significant turn in American history. That's what we should do now. Let these guys think they're smart and finding a way to give themselves some deniability when they're passing Jim Crow Laws Volume 2, okay? And we should find ways to use the Voting Rights Act and to use the amendments to the Constitution, particularly about badges of slavery, as a way to stop these new voting rules, which have only that objective in mind. That is, badges of slavery, compromising the vote that was given after the war by these processes that defeat free and full voting. So it's a little muggy out, I discover. So I hope you have a good day. Get out if you can. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.